Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Welcome to Game Over Cup Final. I'm joined today by Mark Dumont, a great friend of mine. I think the last time Mark and I were on a podcast together, Julian McKenzie was hosting it, and it was probably like 5 years ago. So it's been a while. Yeah. Not that Mark and I haven't talked since then, but bear with me a little bit tonight, folks. As you can hear, my voice is betraying me. Mark and I hung out last night with Julian. But
and Tristan was also a host of that podcast.
Yes, Tristan was there as well. It was a Montreal party, we'll say that. But
and Laura got there first. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes, Laura Saba was there as well. It was quite the event. But obviously, we're in the Stanley Cup final now. We got to get in on the Stanley Cup finals action. Lightning versus Avalanche at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Bet before the game starts, live in play. Or will Nikita Kucherov continue to lead the way for the Lightning? Well, no goals tonight. Doing it right since 1997, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Well, I'm surviving tonight solely due to the unofficial sponsorship from Couche-Tard.
Couche-Tard, yeah, with a slush there.
With the slush, it's a Sour Patch Kids slush,
which is just like God intended when he was. Yeah, that's perfectly natural.
I mean, growing up outside of Quebec, the slushes I was always exposed to were like pop flavored.
Okay,
like, they're like
this is slush puppy like heaven there.
Yeah, this is honestly, I will say it's good if Couche-Tard wants to throw some money at us, but
hey.
It's so sugary, Mark. It's like rotting my teeth out of my skull. It's helping me speak.
Exactly, but you don't feel as bad as Vasilevsky right now. So
God,
so you're doing okay. Hey, I don't know about you, but like I watch these Avalanche and I'm like, this is the perfect hockey team.
They're amazing. This is without Girard and Kadri.
Kadri's a heck of a player. And I'm sorry to everyone that used to cheer for him, but. I mean, from the get-go, Andrew, the most important thing I found was when right off the first shift, it's that attack. You don't have a second. And you saw Tampa was freaking out there. Vasilevsky almost cleared over the ice. Sergachev did. Like they were panicked. And this is the Tampa Bay Lightning, back-to-back champions. And the Avalanche are treating them like a junior team. It's amazing to watch. Guys like Josh Manson are coming end to end. How's that happening? So no, I'm really enjoying watching the Avalanche. Nichushkin has been, well, not a revelation. We knew he was good, but yeah, it's been really fun watching them dominate.
It has been. I mean, my takeaway from this game watching them was the Tampa Bay Lightning look a lot like the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final last year. It took everything that they had in the tank to get to this point, and it looks like they have nothing left.
Yeah, and every single mistake will go back against them. Yeah. But
not to take away from the Avalanche, which we got a bunch of comments on the last show that we didn't give the Avalanche their flowers enough.
Oh my God, I can start doing that if you'd like.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, here's what we need to do, and here's what I want every single GM to do in the entire NHL. Watch what the Avalanche are doing, and also Tampa Bay, and repeat that. So that I'm so glad. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from LA or any of those teams, but you know, when people start to say, oh, you got to get big and tough yes, the playoffs are for big boys. You got to be tough. But this is a team that was the worst in the league 5 years ago, like bar none. The lottery did not help them. Absolutely not. And they invested heavily in analytics, but the key part, and shout out to our friend Eric Parnas, who works for the Avalanche. He was a former blogger like me and Andrew. They didn't just invest in data analysis. They actually listened to it. They actually put it into application. And that is obviously the way to go, but that's something that doesn't always happen with hockey teams. So you want to build a team. And remember when we used to criticize Joe Sakic for holding on to Shine that long? We're like, he's messing it up. And then he fleeced two teams. Like, I don't know. I think Joe Sakic has done a masterful job, and every other team in the league should be trying to emulate the Colorado Avalanche, using intelligent decisions, making smart trades. That Taves trade, what was that? 2 second rounders?
That's nuts.
That was one of the best trades that we don't talk about much. But while other teams are spending first rounders on guys that aren't that good of skaters, you have Taves, who has been one of the most underrated players in in a defenseman in the NHL and the Chushkin and then getting Lehkonen. I mean, like, it shows how smart they are, how much they do their homework, and how much the ownership and the GMs trust the intelligent people they pay to give them information, which, surprise, surprise, is the right way to go.
100%. I mean, they've got integration from the top to the bottom, smart acquisitions. Like, as you mentioned, they have the big guys like Josh Manson, but they got guys who play rough, who are smaller, like Lehkonen.
Or
I
even
guess Lehkonen's not really small.
Is a beast, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But like, they've got tons of different styles of players that bring it in different ways. They're such a complete team. And you mentioned how quickly they had Tampa on their heels. It was like that first shift from Nichushkin was like just incredible.
I'm thinking of Evolving Wild right now. He's probably like, or the Twins. They're probably pretty excited because they've been repping Nichushkin for a while now. But did you look at his numbers?
I'm not.
Like, hey, he's rocking a 60% expected goals in the playoffs. Like, it's guys,
so surprising.
Like, right? So surprising. Guys like that are obviously, you need the McKinnons, who hasn't done much in this series so far, which is crazy to say. He did set up Landeskog with 2 great chances, but you're getting it, like you say, top to bottom, and it's just smart investments all around. I don't think there's been a faux pas I don't think Sakic's really messed up at all.
No, I mean, I think when he first took over, there was a lot of people, myself included, who were very skeptical, right? Former player. It seemed like Colorado was such a mess at that time.
They were.
The Patrick Waugh situation, right? Like, this team is not that far removed from Patrick Waugh quitting like right before training camp. And then Jared Bettner coming in and being thrown to the Wolves. Everybody thought Bednar was going to be a one and done coach.
Speaking of Roy, I pulled out this. I was just looking. I still have my jersey from when. Ironically, I was just speaking to Jean when they got traded there. But I was just thinking about how I became an Avalanche fan.
Okay, well, if you're going to pull that out, hold on one sec.
Oh, he's going to go pull out his own jersey. Now, Andrew has the same story as me. When we were younger, our favorite player, Patrick Roy, got traded or so. And I became an Avalanche fan for like a little while. And there you go. Oh, now that is the most beautiful jersey there is. That's gorgeous. That is, yeah. Okay. Man, that's nice. I have the blue as well. I don't think contractually I'm legally allowed to pull it out.
Yeah, that's right. Mark Dumas, employee of the Canadiens, cannot own a Nordic jersey.
I almost put I did have the Avs jersey on, and I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work out for my team. But yeah, like we were talking about 5 years ago, they were in the basement. Like, it's crazy to think now that they're steamrolling back-to-back champions. And like you said, yeah, there was a lot of maybe doubt because we've seen players come in and screw up, but he had the patience. I eviscerated him for how he did the Duchesne trade. Like, before it happened, I'm like, oh, you're losing all your value. You're losing. This is stupid. There you go. Another.
Well, and they lost Ryan O'Reilly as well at one point, like.
Yeah. So it was looking bad, but this is your blueprint. This is what the Canadians should be doing, right? By all means. And this is why they invested in, a data analysis department. So yeah, I'm just so happy that a team doing everything intelligently is not coasting, but hey, man, they're like, they're the first ones at the trough there, and Tampa Bay will get their chance to eat when they want. But like, I mean, I haven't seen such a dominating performance like that in a cup final in a long time, right?
Yeah, especially against a team as good as Tampa. And like, as much as I think Tampa looks at a gas, part of that is because of the pace at which Colorado is able to play. And only losing 2 games in these playoffs is giving Colorado the ability to rest as well. So like, they just look incredible. They're and so strong.
His first 2 shifts, like, did you see how he's like, Sergachev, that's mine now. And Sergachev isn't a bad defenseman, neither is Hedman, right? And they were just getting, like, that's mine now. He was basically like the Hamburglar of pucks and just like yoinking them left and right. And he almost scored right off the bat. So yeah, it's that pace of play. So it's funny, we talk about skill, but you're right. There is that intense, not just work ethic, but they're rough and tumble as well. But then the key here, Andrew, and what I noticed today in the last game as well, is that Tampa Bay are on their heels and they're blocking shots, but it's the Avalanche that get the puck back after every single block shot. So the blocking of the shots, okay, but we saw in the game 1, that's how the game-winning goal came, because of a block shot. I'm sure Vasilevsky probably would have saved the original one. And this time you saw him way out of position oftentimes because the Avalanche were getting rebounds. Now, it wasn't his best game. But I don't think we can throw it all on Vasilevsky on this one. It's like Tampa is just really, really, really out of gas, or just don't know what to do, or the Avalanche are just easily the best team in the league, and I'm glad they're going to be probably rewarded for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Vasilevsky's fault that the Lightning only got 16 shots, right?
Right. No, a couple of those were muffins there. A couple of those were bananas. Yep. But it's not his fault when you have guys like Helm getting great scoring chances. Like, you know what I mean? And Josh, like, also, can I admit something? I thought Darren Helm had been out of the league for like 4 years. I honestly thought, I had to Google him today, and I'm like, that like the Red Wings, Darren Helm? No way. Like, won cups way back with the Red Wings. That's him, right?
Yep, same guy. He's ancient now.
So yeah, he's only 35, which in sports,
he's the oldest man in the league.
He's the Methuselah of sports. But no, all in all, I just think, and here's the cool part: they're not like, Kemper's been good, but they're not doing it on the back of an elite goalie.
No,
very good goalie. Don't get me wrong. But it's nice to see a team basically invest at every single level, and I can't see a weakness with them. And imagine Samuel Girard and Kadri were playing, like that's you're removing borderline elites, assets from a team that's steamrolling the back-to-back champions. So yeah, it's been really fun to watch. And I think Sakic has to get his credit as probably right now. Listen, Julien Brisebois, obviously in Montreal, there's a little bit of history there. And he's done great, but right now I think Joe Sakic's easily the best GM in the entire league, like by a country mile. Yeah,
it's weird because like there are people who don't want to give Brisebois the credit for the Lightning because Yzerman was there for a while too. But people forget that Brisebois was there before Yzerman as well, and was part of like building the core that became. And also
like working with the AHL and no. Okay, yes, Yzerman gets some credit there, but Brisebois, what I will say for him, what I always love is that he wasn't afraid to take risks when he knew his team was right up on the edge there, right? So, you want to catch a ride on the river, you got to go down to the riverboat. So he was making those big trades, and, first rounder, who cares? Because I'm going to go and it's mission accomplished, right? Like back to back in this era, impossible. Well, borderline impossible. It should be. So, yeah, no. You have two really well, and this reflects so well on the NHL. I know today wasn't a great game, but you have two really well constructed teams with two very intelligent people at the helm that have invested heavily in analytics, that listen to their data analysis people, which is, again, the most important part. So this is what should be happening, is having the two powerhouses that did everything right with intelligent GMs and intelligent people working behind the scenes. So to me, absolutely perfect. I'm not saying I don't like the Cinderella stories, but like, this is nice to see there, two organizations getting rewarded for doing it the right way.
And that's the thing. These two teams also play like aggressive, entertaining styles as well, right? So like, I like Cinderella teams too, because I like the story, but at a certain point also, it's tough to watch a Stanley Cup final where one team is just hanging on for dear life. And I know I'm saying that ironically while the Lightning aren't even hanging on right now.
Yeah, but I was like, thinking about that time that the Devils made it to the final there and just got steamrolled there. I was like, this is kind of boring, right?
Exactly. And like, it doesn't make a great final. And hopefully the Lightning do push back a little bit in Tampa just to make this a better final, because I don't think that the Colorado Avalanche will sweep. I think the Lightning are too good to not win one game, right?
Yeah, but like I agree, but also there's no weakness. Sweep. Like that's the other part, is like they would almost be able to throw a game just so they can win at home. You know what I mean? Like, no player would, no team would ever do that. But no, I think you're right when you say that Tampa's a little bit out of his team. Like, let's be honest, coming into this series, like Tampa weren't a great, or into the playoffs, statistically speaking, weren't a very good team. They were pretty good. But they were actually vulnerable, right? From a statistical standpoint.
Yeah, they were outplayed by Toronto in round one as well. And
yeah, and then what happened?
Well, it's Toronto.
But no, but the cool thing here is that, again, they got rewarded for their cups. Now we're going to see the Avalanche. So now all the writers out there, this is the narrative that you push. It pays to invest in intelligent decision making and surround yourself with experts. You listen to them. So no more of this. You gotta. Yes, there's physicality is all part of it. Like that's actually that's something you can actually measure the value of a player, even if he is big. However, this idea that you have to like fight your way to the cup. You can skill your way to the cup. And again, not taking anything away from Tampa last year or Colorado probably this year. They're tough, but skill is on display, right? That's been the message so far. And I'm so excited to see the NHL move into a more skilled landscape. It's going to bother a lot of old writers, but
it's going to bother John Tortorella in Philly.
That's fine. Oh yeah, which is amazing, by the way, which is just absolutely the best, most Philly thing that could have ever happened.
100%.
When I was with Metro Media, was like one of the first people who gave me credentials, and I always begged to go to any like Tortorella game. I just wanted to talk to him in the locker room. I wanted him to yell at me, basically, but he almost never talked. So yeah.
Oh, Torts. There's a question in here asking, will Lehkonen be back with the Avalanche next year? He's an RFA, so I would assume yes.
I mean, and of course, yes, I work for the Canadians, but I'm literally like, I find out things as you guys find them out. So I have absolutely no inside information. I think they paid a pretty heavy price with Barron and the pick. So they wouldn't have done that if he wasn't a controllable asset, right? And I think a guy like Lehkonen, he would probably be okay with taking like a $4 million for 5 years just to be on a really good team. I think he's like that kind of smart player. That being said, he's an RFA, he's controllable. I don't see why the Avalanche wouldn't, like, he fits in so perfectly.
Yeah.
And whoever talked about Lehkonen, big fan of them. Whoever mentioned them, man, I miss Lehkonen.
He's great.
You know what bothered me is that
you and I have been on the Lehkonen trade since day one, right?
Like, it's been 10 years. It's funny because you brought out the tweet from when he got drafted, and I looked up my tweets and I'm like, this was my favorite player from the draft. He's going to be so good. We actually, and shout out to Patrick Bexel, who was talking about it a lot of the time, but we spent 10 years basically telling everyone like, he's a really good player. And like, why doesn't he score on every shot? Like, I know if things were different, they'd be different. And then he'd be getting paid $9 million a year. Right. So, I guess I'm just kind of bitter that we got laughed at for I'm not petty at all, but this is the list of people that we're bad against. No, I won't call them all out. But it is funny to see how much he's being appreciated here for what he's doing in Colorado.
Yeah, it's the same situation as Lars Eller, right? Moves to another market, all of a sudden he's scoring a Stanley Cup clinching goal. Although Lehkonen did the Stanley Cup final thing last year in overtime, like, that's the most important goal in the Canadiens' history since '93.
Yes. Oh, by far.
Like,
that
easily.
was like not even close. Let's keep in mind that the Bell Center hadn't seen a final, right? Like, this is the Bell Center. So that was, and not only that, it was on Saint Jean. So actually, at the time when Lehkonen scored that goal, Jeff Molson came on the air and he's like, listen, the police just told us stay in the building. And I was walking around, I was looking for my boss, and we're supposed to have like this employee thing, and I could hear, but they weren't just like firecrackers, they were fireworks, and like people were getting, and then obviously they got gassed, and so it was that was one of the most exciting times I've ever seen. But it goes to show, Artturi Lehkonen literally is a guy that will get you to the Stanley Cup. Like, literally, he will.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. And he's an Arsenal fan, which is also very important. Even though right now we don't talk about that, but he was a good guy, and I think again he was a Canadian success story in terms of drafting and development during a time where they didn't have much. So hopefully they'll get back to that. But the Canadians can look at the Avalanche and what they've done.
It's a blueprint.
It's a blueprint, and there was no first overall there, right?
It was McKinnon was first overall, wasn't he?
Okay, yeah. That's like many moons, but I'm talking about, let's say, like from the Makar era.
No,
there,
Makar was
the last
like
5 years
overall. I think they got pretty unlucky when they
they slid from first to get to Makar. They were the worst team in the league, and then Byram as well, and just smart drafting, and and a lot of it's not overthinking it either. Not trying to get players to play a different role than what they're used to. So they got guys that work well in certain positions. They paid handsomely for them, but they're winning because of them. So this is the Avalanche being good. Is great for hockey. I'm so happy that they haven't won yet, but I think they'll sweep. I honestly think they'll sweep. I don't see what Tampa can do at this point. And when you pointed out they're out of gas, like today, literally all the guys were hunched over mid-second period.
Yeah.
So they said the altitude wasn't affecting them. I don't know, man. Altitude plus Nichushkin all up in your face there is a rough combination. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
and like 2 short summers in a row, all the games that they've played, how could they not be exhausted?
you're talking about like 30% more games than other teams, right? So yeah, no, absolutely, it plays a long role. And last year, one of the biggest, like what I realized is that going that far in the playoffs, it was fun, it was great, but then you start back over. It ended in August, you start in September. Like you had like 2 weeks to basically get back in. And these guys are athletes, so if I was tired, they might have been a little bit more tired than I was, you know. So it is rough on the body. That being said, like I know we're throwing so many compliments to Tampa, to Colorado. What Tampa's done in the last couple of years has been absolutely fantastic too. Yep. I mean, like Stamkos is on the third line all of a sudden, but they found a new role for him, and I don't know, it's been pretty. I'm really happy for Julien Brisebois, and I'm excited to see what he does now. Like I don't know if he can hold on to this team for much longer, but I'm excited to see what he does in the offseason. But hey, let's not count Tampa out, right? They got that experience. It's no joke. I know people will think it's a joke, but that playoff experience, those rings count for something, man.
They do. I mean, they've been in this situation before, like one round ago against New York, but it was a very different situation in that they were dominating New York in the games that they lost. Yeah. Right? It was just that Shesterkin was unbeatable. So far in this series, at even strength, the Colorado Avalanche have 73.1% of the expected goals, which I have never seen before, ever. And that's again without Samuel Girard and Kadri. I know. And this is with McKinnon not scoring. And you have guys like Helm that are scoring and Josh Manson that are scoring like off the rush. And how many odd man rushes did Colorado get tonight? It was like 12.
I would say a good, even maybe a baker's dozen, but they were getting breakaways on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it's great to see, because if we go down that list of trades, man, like the Avalanche did, it's crazy that they won't. Did Sakic ever win GM of the year? No,
I don't think so.
Like they don't give it to the guy that's the problem, is that it takes more than a year to build a team, right? So like Sakic should get the GM of the half decade, if that's some sort of a thing. Sorry, I don't want to talk about awards too much, because I might bug some people online, but I think Joe Sakic deserves a lot of praise being sent his way. And he acquired Lehkonen, so like I hate him forever. And I hope the fleas of 1,000 camels infest his underwear drawer. But like other than that, I think he's done just a masterful job. And when you look at the return for the Habs, like on Lehkonen, Barron was good and the draft pick's good, but it wasn't like it was essentially a first and a second, but it wasn't like it's not like they broke the bank on it or anything.
No, it was a very fair trade to me. It was a trade that the Canadians couldn't logically say no to.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't like blow the doors off.
No.
Right.
No, exactly.
It was just two people who came to a reasonable agreement after a long negotiation.
Exactly. And Sakic, again, this is why I love / hate him, is he had been looking at Lehkonen for a long time. And I think we know why. Again, Eric, darn you, Eric. Like I blame Eric for all of this. By the way, he's going to be in Montreal for the draft, so he owes us beers. Just decided us.
He better flash us his. Well, I guess he won't have a Stanley Cup ring by then, but
no, but I'll have a picture with a nerd with a cup there. You know, that's it's always a good one. Kind of like Sam Ventura when he had his there. You know,
he's probably gonna curse us for talking about him having a Stanley Cup ring already 2 games into the final.
Yeah, right? But he's like, guys, shut up right now. But we get to say that, and I have to say it's pretty a lot less stressful to watch a cup final when you're not working for a team. So yeah, he's probably pretty stressed right now. But it's been fun to watch. I would like a little more. I think Tampa will come out. They have to, right, in game 3. Like Cooper's not an idiot either.
No,
he just failed to adjust today, though, and I think that does fall on him. He failed to adjust from game. I thought Colorado could have won 7-0 in game 1 as well.
I don't know. Did he fail to adjust, or is it just that like in that altitude on Colorado's home ice
against one of the better teams that's ever been assembled,
handle the speed? You know, like. It seemed like Tampa Bay was like calm and ready to go, and then once the speed started, it was like, it's this again.
Shift 1. Yeah. And you could tell that they were getting rid of the puck quick, even when they weren't pressured. So I think that goes to show, when you start overthinking it, and that's what's happening to Tampa. Colorado's forecheck is in their head. So, and it's not like, again, it's not these big mean guys doing it there. It's the Nichushkins and the Lehkonens of the world, and the Darren Helms of the world, who isn't retired. So it's fun to see those guys get their due.
100%. I think Tampa Bay rolls back. Although, you know what? All 3 of us in the first show were wrong about how the second game would go.
Because
Julian
Vasilevsky
and-
usually becomes a monster game
that's
too.
the
There,
thing.
you know? Yeah.
Julian and Peter and I all agreed that the first game would be Vasilevsky's worst of the whole series. And we all agreed that Tampa would adjust things and come out flying the next game. They weren't capable of doing it. Home ice maybe changes things up a little bit. Maybe Braden Point gets his feet back a little bit. But as it goes right now, I mean, Kadri might be playing next game. So that's a whole other wrinkle to add to it. But we're going to cut this out now because I can barely speak.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
Andrew,
Mark.
I believe that's because it was the tequila that I bought you last night that did that, right, Andrew?
No comment.
This was fun. And by the way, if ever your goalie is coming from Montreal, your goalie allows 7 goals in a game, pull him. Trust me, just pull him. It might not turn out very well there. I was just looking at the history of the Montreal Canadiens there. Someone was talking about the whole Hua incident, and pull your goalie.
Yeah, they should have just rested him in the third period. Like, I
You know what?
understand that he probably didn't want
I'm
to
guessing
come out,
he
but
said he wanted to stay.
yeah, that's my guess as well.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining me, Mark. I really appreciate it. Everyone follow Mark at Mark P. Dumont on Twitter. Follow his Twitch streams. Or don't.
I wouldn't follow
you
me.
could also not. It's fine.
I wouldn't follow me. I try to unfollow me all the time. It doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work? No? They won't let you? But if you want to see me on this show again this year, it's going to have to wait until game 6. So Tampa's going to have to win a couple games. Harnish and Armaan are going to be on next game. And then
Nice.
Peter and Auddie for game 4. And I believe game 5 as well. So
So you're going to bet on game 6?
No.
Rough,
Not after
man.
these 2 games, I wouldn't. But
Yeah, exactly. Well,
we'll have to wait for
hopefully
the-
you'll be back on by game 6.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be seeing you in 2 days. I won't, but I'll watch. Right? I
Yeah,
won't be talking.
It's
to
always
you.
a great show. Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be feeling better by then, but definitely by game 6. Follow everyone at SDPN. We're gonna have an awesome time this summer, and see as many of you as are going to come out at the draft, at the SDPN draft party.
That
So
should be, I'm gonna probably show up to that too. There,
100%.
you know, come hang out with my SDPN folks there. And so this episode was brought to you by Fisherman's Friend.
Fisherman's Friend and
And Slush.
Couche-Tard slushies. All